16 every year as the International Day of Living Together in Peace, as a means of regularly mobilizing the efforts of the international community to promote peace, tolerance, inclusion, understanding, and solidarity. According to the declaration of the day, it invites countries to further promote reconciliation to help ensure peace and sustainable development, including by working with communities, faith leaders, and other relevant actors through reconciliatory measures and acts of service, and by encouraging forgiveness and compassion among individuals. The subject matter of peace cannot be overemphasized in our society, in Nigeria and in Benue State. It is said that without peace, development cannot thrive. What are those things that are hindering peaceful communities in our environment? What are those factors that aggravate the sustainable peace? And what can be done to encourage peaceful coexistence and build social cohesion in our communities? These and more will form the basis of our discussion on perspectives this morning as we beam spotlight on this very important day on the UN calendar, which was observed yesterday, and we are spotlighting it on perspectives this morning. I have three capable discussants, experts, who will be sharing thoughts with us on this day and what it means and what can be done to promote sustainable peace in our communities in Nigeria and here in Benue State. First, I'd like to welcome the Director General, International Institute for Peace Research and Practice. He is also a Deputy Director, Center for Peace and Development Studies at the Benue State University, Makodi, Dr. John Tsua. Welcome to Agate Radio, Dr. Tsua.
Thank you for having me.
We also have another discussant who is the Director General, Benue State Peace and Reconciliation Commission, Dr. Josephine Haber. Welcome to Perspectives, Dr. Haber.
My pleasure.
Good to have you join us. Also, with us on Perspectives is the Chairman, Society for Peace Studies and Practice, Benue State, Mr. Akor Shoho. Welcome to the program, Akor Shoho.
Thank you for having me.
Dear listener, I am Nathaniel Nongu, welcoming you to this Friday edition of Perspectives. And if you are tuning in to Perspectives on this edition as your first time, kindly be informed that this is an audience interactive engagement. You have the opportunity to call in or send a message to share your thoughts with us as well on the program, focusing on the issue we are discussing. The program enjoys airtime between now and 11 a.m. and usually at 10 o'clock we avail you the opportunity to call in and share your thoughts with us or send a message on the line, which we will be calling us shortly. And the program, as I mentioned, is between now and 11. At 10 o'clock the line for calls will be available, and that line which you will start calling once it is 10 is 0814 335 9292. 0814 335 9292. That's the line dedicated to calls, and the one for text messages and WhatsApp chats, which you can send. And if you are sending, please remember to include your name and the location you are sending it from. The line through which you can reach us via text is 0912 699 9404. 0912 699 9404. That line will be available soon as we begin the engagement. Let's also inform you that Perspectives is streaming live on all our social media platforms, including Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. If you search Agate Radio and TV out on these platforms, you'll be sure to watch the live stream of this program. You may drop your comments there, and if they're related to the subject matter we are discussing, definitely we'll take it as your contribution. Let's also inform you that you may listen to us via our website on www.agateradiotv.com. Once you log on the website, please check the top right corner. You see a small radio icon. Click on it and you'll be sure to listen to us live. Let's begin. I'd like to begin with you, Dr. Tsua. Yesterday was International Day of Living Together in Peace. What does this day mean in the global essence of it? And then we'll localize it in our context here in Nigeria.
Okay, thank you very much. Let me start on the lighter note. by saying that when you go through social media platforms, you will see some people writing things like, not everybody is normal now. Not many of us are normal now. So it means that the whole global society is encumbered with issues of discrimination, issues of even criminality, issues of intolerance, issues of exclusion, issues of stereotyping and all that. So it is the wisdom of our own global leaders that apart from the day set aside in September about the World Peace Day, there should be a conscious effort and day to be set aside again to bring people to their realization that we cannot just talk about peace without talking about the daily lives of our own people. And then, as you say, change starts with me in Nigeria. We in the peace world, we say that peace starts with the individual. Peace starts with me. And so this day is special for those of us in the peace world because it brings that awareness, brings up that realization that at each point that you are supposed to create an atmosphere of peace by creating education that will make people know, because some people are involved in conflictual issues without realizing the reasons that have led them into these issues. And so this day is very special because it brings out issues that have caused disunity. It helps us to understand issues that have brought it what some scholars call unpeace, the unpeace situation. So that is, for now, I can say that globally, our leaders have realized that peace starts with the individual. And it starts with the individual creating that consciousness that the world can only be peaceful if I am at peace with my neighbor. The world can only be peaceful if I include my neighbor in decision making on how our community is organized and they operate. It creates that awareness in people that we need to create that mentality that we should include and we should stop stereotyping our neighbor so that our intergroup relation will be developed in such a way that we know that we are our brothers keepers and together we now have a peaceful society.
Okay, Dr. Haba, also give us your thoughts on what this day means to you in the global sense and then also our experience here in Nigeria, the International Day of Living Together in Peace.
Thank you very much. First and foremost, I need to put forward a disclaimer. I am not Dr. Josephine. I am Josephine Haba.
Okay.
Having said that, for me, peace is about you and I. And this day is very important because whether we like it or not, today has proven that the whole world is in chaos. And the only thing, and the only sustainable thing to do is to begin to canvass peaceful coexistence. And then we have a day yesterday saying to us that it's a peace living together day. For me, I started this day yesterday in Vandikia. I wanted to take an action because this year's global theme is action. Take an action is a commitment to the global goals. And so I chose yesterday to take an action. So I traveled from Makurdi to Vandikia yesterday to actually act and not just to speak. What did I go to do? We have a conflict in Vandikia in Vandikia local government that has existed for 77 years. And I decided to identify with that conflict yesterday. So when I went, by my action, I took an action to meet with traditional leaders and the council chairman. And what did I say to them? We need to tolerate each other. We need to understand that we are born from different women and different families. It will take study of one another to understand that perhaps what you perceive of me as being something that provokes you may not be exactly. So we need to learn each other to understand each other and to help us tolerate each other, live together as families, not this attitude of our nuclear families today, but take back our system that took in every child, everyone to be ours. If another person's child is yours, you won't hurt the child. If you take another person as yourself, you won't hurt that person because you'll be hurting yourself. So we were discussing the fact that the Fulani herders, as they said, came in through Cross River to Benue. And they have done an excellent job of having to sit down and mediate and dialogue to have peace. So I thought I should identify with such an exercise. For me, that is what peace means to me. And I expect that that's the kind of thing we should embrace. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Shohu, you are the chairman of Society for Peace Studies and Practice. Give us experience of what this day means to you as well at the level of your society and what you are doing.
Thank you. The International Day of Living Together in Peace means so much to me as a person and as a community and Nigeria in general. Let me bring it back to Benue State here. We're having some issues in so many areas. Land area, misunderstanding between brothers and sisters, neighbors, and so on and so on. So what did it really mean? We need to understand ourselves. We need to believe in ourselves. We need to believe in our social understanding. In refusing to believe in all this brings about a lot of problems. We should understand our cultural norms. We should understand our intentions with our brothers. We should be able to talk our problems out, to say our problems out to each other, for once to understand and knows the boundary of this is where I'm supposed to talk and this is where I'm supposed to end.
All right, Dr. Tua, I am back to you. In the light of this day, International Day of Living Together in Peace, looking around the world, there are global wars going on. Does it mean we are not tolerating each other? Solidarity, standing together in communities is not there, and that is what is responsible for the breach of peace across the world.
Okay, thank you very much. You see, conflict has many causality factors, and globally now you have seen that there is a depletion of the resources available to human beings. You know, human beings have different needs. In fact, sometimes you also have conflict within yourself. I give this light example that sometimes, particularly for our sisters, you wake up after having your bath, you go to your wardrobe and then you want to pick something to wear. Sometimes you are there for 5 minutes, you know, trying to think about what to do. So today we have different reasons that have brought out this kind of environment that we are in now, from Russia and Ukraine, Israel and Palestine. You have also non-state actors that have emerged as a result of arms proliferation and sometimes the struggle for the control of natural resources, and then even politically we have the situation where there is emergence of what we call strong men. You know, strong men in leadership that feel that they are not supposed to be opposed, that feel that they should take charge. So you look everywhere, you see people developing cut ideologies around some particular leaders. So you putting things that if it's not there, the world will end. Nathaniel is there, and you have many of them cut across that feel that they have to retain power by all means. And in the process of retaining power, they are actually doing what? Excluding others from the governance process. So by the time you do that and you want to create that leadership style, that leadership ideology, that control over everybody, definitely you have to violate human rights. And in terms of violating human rights, sometimes you also deprive people of their basic needs. See that it even goes to lower levels at even allocation of resources, where you see somebody say, oh, I wanted to construct a road towards this place, in this place, but people here oppose me, so I won't do it. Or let me capture this particular land because the people here are anti-government also. That scenario is global. Now, where you have leaders are behaving in that manner, especially in a compulsion that we have been compared now globally to adapt liberal democracy. You know, we have had our own way of democracy. If you go through history, you discover that majority of African societies were egalitarian in nature. They were community-based. They were consensual. Decisions were consensually taken. And then even when you go to lower stages, like even ownership of a child, you know, ownership of a child was community-based. So that once you are a child in this community, everybody can discipline you, and then you become a product of the community. And there people learn how to live together. But with this increased principles of liberal democracy, individualism, and all that communitarian mentality, egalitarian, that has drastically changed. And because of that, you have emerging threat that has come from the practice of individualism. That is one aspect of that. And then the other aspect, as I said earlier, the consequences of global change in terms of climate change, global warming, and all that. This has depleted some resources, of course, so making people to move on. And then we have talked about issues of development that has affected our society now. People no longer share resources, community resources like that. So you have, in Africa, for example, you have what we can call recolonization process, where you see strong leaders want to dominate some minor countries. You have China, France, America, and all that, trying to come back to take control of societies that previously, you know, they had left. So this, for me, is a serious worry. The new scramble for resources in, you know, developing societies has become a very fundamental problem too. So what I can say here is that we need to look at the nature and character of our society, our contemporary society now, in terms of what is the nature of leadership, what is the main focus of the leadership now, and then we, the followers too, we have to look at what we do, and especially our scramble for resources and our realization that these resources available belong to all of us, belong to the community, but do not belong to one individual or one government or one leadership that try to manipulate and control all of it.
Okay, Ms. Haba, I am with you now. Looking at the theme for the day this year, take actions. What are those actions that we need to take, and what are the factors that actually impede a peaceful coexistence in our communities?
Excellent question. For me, I think that the fact that we have negated the systems that we had even before the world became a global community. Everyone is from somewhere. No matter if you're in Makurdi today, you came from one village. If Makurdi is your village, perhaps where you're living in Makurdi is not where is your village. So we have negated the fact that there were structures that dealt with issues and helped us coexist before today that we have become everybody for himself. I will expect for what to do is, can we revisit the systems of reconciliations and dialogue that we had before now, and see how we can build bridges and strengthen those structures to enable us deal much more with those structures than get to kinetic issues. We're not coexisting because everybody today knows where the next police station is. Everybody today knows that we have a phone. We can call our big brother who is a military man or who has power somewhere. And so the issue of power play is now brought us to the point where even if you greet me and I didn't understand that it was a greeting, is an insult, I look for who is going to come between us. This was not the case. I know that there were issues for discussions that were brought into traditional councils, even at the lowest level. Till today, I know traditional councils are settling problems. they may have their own questions, they may have their own issues, but why don't we examine and strengthen and give more attention to these bridges? Whether we like it or not, the kinetic has failed us. I mean, if we are truthful to ourselves, if it didn't fail us, and I'm not saying it should be absent, but I'm thinking that there should be a collaborative action between the kinetic and the non-kinetic to see how we can build the bridges for encouraging coexistence, so that my power will not be over the person that has no power. And perhaps we can begin to pass on the values that our parents gave us that we left behind. We need to pick up those values, those good traditional things that our parents gave us, the cultures that were healthy. Can we pass them over to the new generation or to generations ahead of us, so that they can also come up and begin to understand that, yes, there may be climate change, but who is living in this climate change era is a human being. So if climate has changed, if climate has given issues for conflict, if we all die, then what is the use of dealing with the issues of climate change? So we should begin to think that even if I drive everyone away from Makurdi or Benue today, the space will be too much for us. We'll not be able to engage all of this space. So how can we live together? How can we coexist together and ensure that there is peace for us all to benefit? Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Shoho, sustainable world of peace and solidarity, how can it be achieved through our actions, drawing from the theme for this year?
Thank you. I tried to toe the line of the last two speakers. Today's peace is bringing about a lot of problems because of our well-being. Just like the last speaker has said, I have a brother somewhere who is very tall in government and who holds a very big political positions. So whatever I do at home here, he'll be able to cover me, even if he's doing the wrong thing. And that is exactly what is playing out today in the country. You can see, let me take it for example. I've been in this peace business for Benue State for the past 4 or 5 years, before I became the principal special assistant on boundary matters. There was this day we went about Benue Taraba peace building. There were a lot of problems there with our brothers in Taraba State. And the Benue State government, his own wisdom, set up a peace committee that we should go on Benue boundary lines and talk to our people so that whatever they want to do, it should be done in peace. Same should apply to Taraba State. We went up to a point in Chirakra, a village that borders with Kashimila. On getting there, the then permanent secretary of Taraba State Government House came out, and whatever he saw, he was not too happy. Looking at his actions, we know that this man is not happy. And what is this problem? It's because my brother holds this position, that one holds this position. And that is the whole thing that's bringing about this peace problem in the country today. Even in our international communities, that is what is happening. The problem between Israel and the Palestine is just because of the OIC and the rest of them. But it has been written in the Bible anyway that all this true in Israel has been on the fence of having problems with neighbor countries. People are not seeing it in that direction. You sleep and somebody wakes up in the morning, just somebody wakes up around 2 a.m. and start bombing you. You look at how bad that is. The same thing applies in Benue Taraba here and some other boundary lines in Benue State here too. You wake up, there was a time we went to Ebonyi, we could not even go out of our hotels because they know that this is exactly what is happening. So we should understand ourselves. We should sit down and go back to a drawing board. Ask ourselves this question: what are we fighting for? What is, with all these things, just like the last speaker has said, if we acquire all these things, will I be able to farm here on my alone? Will I be farming here only with my family? Does it make any meaning? You ask yourself these questions. And that you can know exactly that what we are doing is not correct. Peace is what you allow to reign. Without peace, there will be no development in any society. So we should allow peace to reign in our societies. That is my understanding about peace.
Okay, Dr. Tsoa, listening to your co-discussant, two key issues have been pointed out. Issues, struggle for resource allocation and even natural resources that are available, and also the activities of non-state actors. At the international community and also our experience nationally and in Benue, how can these two be tackled?
After the genocide in Rwanda, there was a commission, and then there was a process that was called Gachacha. That entails people telling the truth, people convincing people that yes, we have committed this crime, but we are actually truly repentant. And so there should be a community engagement that will bring people together sincerely. But funnily enough, what happens in the world now, and Nigeria and even Benue now, is that we are no longer having community leaders that will be symbols of authority, symbols of leadership that we bring people together. And you see that even in small leadership positions like alumni associations and the student union leadership, people are contesting, and then you see all interest from all over the world. So sometimes I was just with some of my classmates when we were trying to remember when I became the student leader of my department. It was a consensus decision. We came up to contest, about 5 of us. We had what they call the manifesto night.
So consensus started, a history of consensus dates as far back as that time.
Exactly. No. In fact, the African societies were peaceful majorly because of consensus decision making.
Okay.
I told you earlier that we have decisions that were taken consensually. If you go to a certain communities, in fact, one of the problems that the Europeans started having with some communities in Nigeria, like the Tiv, the Igbos, was that they called them stateless societies because they did not have one particular leader that was domineering. But decisions were taken. You have the village, the age group, the age grade, you have all community, and it's typical. If you go to like Tiv communities, for example, there's a reason for why we have houses around, and there will be an activity in the middle. Where decisions were taken collectively. So we are right. But here, you see an individual that becomes, through whatever means, a leader of a community and feels that he or she is supreme. You see, so we now have, even in community, we no longer have decisions that are taken for the benefit of the. But instantly, what I feel very funny is that we are no longer bringing up community decisions for development and coexistence, peaceful coexistence, but rather we celebrate community thieves. We say he is a thief, we know, but he's our thief. But we no longer say that he is our son and then we will punish him. And that is why some of us say that they should develop this strategy of name and shame. Yeah, you name and shame people that are carrying out this activity. So for me, I feel that very importantly, we should recreate our intergroup relations in such a way that we will know, and people say it commonly, that if you are a rich man sleeping in your house and your neighbor is a very poor man, there is one day that he will be angry and throw stones in your house. When we realize that we have this community idea of resolving issues ourselves, and I'm happy that legally now too, just like we have at the Center for Peace and Development Studies in Benue State, and also all in the court, there is this aspect of alternative dispute resolution, right? Not everybody takes a case to the court now, because sometimes we have come to even realize that the court processes also have become a source of conflict and unpeace in many situations, because people go to court now to flex muscles. not when you go to court to just make sure that you are strengthening issues. So we have alternative dispute resolution strategies that are designed, to bring people together to the realization. And for those of us that practice ADR, sometimes we do carrying out a mediation between people, and at the end of the process, you discover that all of them become very sober and regret why they even went into. Because some, carry out these activities that create conflict unknowingly because they are not educated, because they are not aware, but because they are following a particular person that has sponsored them to make sure. And on the lighter note, you go to a place, those of us that deal with young people, you hear people say, we no go agree, we no go agree, we no go agree. And then you call somebody by the side, what do you make when you no go agree? We no go agree now. I say, we no go agree. They say, no, but tell me, okay, and we can ask them what you need to talk, but they say, we no agree, so we no agree. So you see there are some situations where people are not even aware of what are the main challenges that cause conflict in the society. So education is very paramount in terms of trying to recreate our society and create conditions that will bring peace in our society.
Anyway, okay, Mr. Shoho.
Yes, I want to chip in something. Communication is very key in bringing about peace. What are our traditional rulers doing? Take, for example, I'm having a land issue between my brother and the other one. And immediately this matter is reported to the traditional head or the head of the house. They take side. They take side without even calling the second person to sit down. And you remember our people have said, it is better to shape somebody in the present. You don't shape somebody in head in the absence. Bring these two peoples together. Bring the two together. Ask to know exactly what is the problem. Maybe the other one might be telling the truth, the other one will be telling you lies. So the traditional rulers had a very big role to play in bringing about peace. That is where the problem started already. Our problem normally starts in the villages. What is the Tio doing? What is the Otale doing? And what is the Otopande doing? Is he taking side? At times, a problem will come without them hearing from the parties. Go to police, go to court, go to where you want to go. Then the essence of them being there as Otio and Otari and the rest of them does not even arise. Even when the European came into this country, they were listening to the traditional rulers. They gave them portions to help them look at. So we should go back to those days. The traditional rulers should have the responsibility in handling issues in our villages, in our communities. In those days, in your absence, you will be given a title or a chief. But does it happen now? It doesn't happen. They know exactly that this is not supposed to go in this direction. They will force their way into that direction because the person have a way without. Leaving this, just like the last speaker has said, leaving this poor man here and knowing fully well that it's the poor man that owns that position, supposed to hold that position. So we should look into all these things. That traditional rulers should look inward and stop solving the problem of this peace. They are the one to embark on this program of peace before it's taken out. That is just what I wanted to add to that.
Okay, Mrs. Abba, as the Director General, Benue State Peace and Reconciliation Commission, what are those foundational stages for peace building? And if we should borrow from your colleague on the issue of traditional rulers mediation, what is the experience you have had out there?
Thank you very much. I think the biggest problem we have, as humans, is the love for power rather than the the love, the love for power, rather than power for love. We should be empowered to love much more than the opposite side. And so, I appreciate everything you have said, but I think that our colonial fathers are the ones who deliberately broke that strength that kept us even before their arrival. And I think it was a deliberate action to see that we lose the path of peace for their own very good reasons. You couldn't have colonized us if we were together and in one voice. So we needed to be broken and put aside and disbelieve each other for certain things to be done. Well, that's not my court, that's not my beat, so I'm not going there. As a commission, I have an immediate responsibility by law to coordinate the response, the peace response in Benue. Now, what am I doing? The first thing I recognize is the fact that peace is not earned by force. You don't earn peace by force. You earn peace by believing that you want peace. And how should we believe we want peace? The first thing to do is to rebuild confidence. If we don't build back confidence, because of the divides that we already have existing, no matter what you tell your brother, because he's from another mother, you have the same father, he's thinking that you are saying this for your own benefit, not for the family's benefit. But if we go back to build confidence, it's not cheap. Peace isn't cheap, and peace is not a project. It's a huge program. So it's not something you will achieve in 2, 3, 4, 5 years. But we need to go back and build those bridges by the fact that we go back down to the world level. The same way political structures are. Should we go back, build the structures of peace from that level? Gain the confidence by telling the people what is in it for them. Because the world has gone today to the path that unless I know what is in it for me, I'm not going to go that way. So, but there's something for you in peace. That is development. So I need to build the bridges from world level to local government to national level. And what is that supposed to be? We need to build the committees which we are programming to do. The executive governor of Benue State is supporting the peace action for Benue, which is the commission, to build structures that are peace committee structures from world level, which are early warning and early response, also have the responsibility of early warning and early response, from the world level to the local government to trigger if there is any issue that is coming up. And at the state level, we already have an early warning and early response mechanism that we have at the commission level. And so if it's triggered, rather than buy big vehicles, buy armored tanks, we will get support to build for education, for sensitization, for continuous discussion with teams and development, reassuring traditional leaders that they own the facilities that are their communities. And so it is their responsibility to make sure that there is peace and tell them what is in it for them. I was talking to a commissioner, a community leader yesterday, and he said something. In Baduku, they have a boundary committees between themselves, the Benue Baduku communities, and the Cross River Obudu communities, and they meet for a long time now. And I think that we should promote those who are doing good things. This man came to power since 2011, and he asked me to go and check from the time he became chief till today if there have been any conflict in these communities. But he's made a very tall sacrifice. He doesn't have his own resources anymore. Is he's farming today? He's farming because he wants to put the resources together so that he can continually keep the relationship with the Obudu people. So when anything happens within the boundaries, the Obudu people, rather than Honsikwe, it's no longer like that. They come, trace the thing, come sit down, dialogue, and they will mediate to see that intentionally, painfully, they accept that this was either a mistake or we will pay for whatever this person has done to have now become perhaps if this was not done, it will become a whole community crisis or conflict. That houses will be burned, people will be killed. But painfully, his small resources. So he said they're no longer meeting as regular as they should because his own resources has depleted. And I said to him, this is again the colonial thing. In the past, when you visit a tea man's house, he cooks food for you. Even if there is no meat, you eat. Because even if it's somebody passing by and comes to say, I'm thirsty, you give the person food because you don't want the person to take water on an empty stomach. But today, because we have introduced a culture that is not ours, when these people come, you don't only cook for them, you buy beer. You do introduce those things that are not our culture. Give them food and water, you have it. That's the one you found. If you go to them, let them do the same. And so that your own personal cash will not be involved in this process. But again, if your child gets a scholarship, the money you have spent for ensuring that you buy beer and do all of those things and give food and give goat, you will now, the child that gets a scholarship will be the reward that you get it. Because peace has reward. Peace is a reward of itself. So you do this, and I am calling him out because I think such an effort should be rewarded. And I'm not saying by cash. Like I said, if you give him development in his community, let it be something that will showcase to the world that this community from 2011 to date has not had the kind of crisis that we used to hear, or the kind of conflicts that we used to hear that will destroy people and people will run and all of that. And so, for me, I think that the structures, when put in place the way we have designed it, will help to bring reasonably peace back to the state. And it's across the entire Benue. Thank you.
Okay. Dr. Tsua, you are the Director General of Institute for Peace Research and Practice. From your office, what have you identified as the major factors that are hindering peace building in our communities, not just in Nigeria generally, but maybe we should limit also to Benue State?
Greed. I can just say greed. Insincerity. For me, these two are very fundamental. I said earlier that people that we grew up knowing, and they know exactly their limitations of their parents, now no longer want to respect those limitations. People that grew up knowing that you can't own what you don't have, they no longer prepared to own that. I said this earlier that here what happens now is that we celebrate our thieves. Communities have started owning thieves. We say that yes, we know he's a thief, but it's our thief. And so immediately we start talking about things like that. Oh, we remember from 1999, that one was not bad, but it was a Jingba. So Jingba protected him. Oh, now Sankara, this one is Sankara. We knew that this, but Sankara protected him. This one is now, we should protect him because it's our own. Others too did it and other. So we know. Sincerely, we know issues that are responsible for this. People, and you see, one thing that I also, apart from that greed, and what fuels the greed is what I call poverty of the mind. Father Aaron, Father Tabo had written a small book called Poverty of the Mind in the cathedral, something like that. And then I have come to believe that when you place mediocres in places of authority, in places of leadership, the first thing they promote poverty of the mind. And when they promote poverty of the mind, the next thing that encapsulates them is the issues of pride and greed. And these are two dangerous things to peace and to the peace process. As you said, peace is not a project, it's an entire process and program. You know, it's an everyday event. It's an everyday act. And so when you have mediocres that want to impress maybe their paymasters or want to do something that they know it's not right, but they want to do that to feed. And then recently our reward system, right? Our reward system has been very faulty. We no longer reward people because they merit it. We no longer reward people because they know exactly what they are doing, the terrain and whatever. We reward people because we feel that they will not oppose us. We feel that they share family ties with us, or they share whatever groupings that you have with us. We no longer reward people because we know them, we know their capacity, we know their composure, we know that they are capable. And you know, people that mediocres that are elevated, they are very dangerous set of people, because they know themselves they are not capable. And so one thing to do to keep them in those positions is to create an ideology, a cult ideology around their personalities, you know, so they become full more than the community, and you won't achieve peace in that manner. And these are people that, you know, enshrine greed too in the process. Now we are trying to work with people, work with communities, for them to realize that first and foremost, whether you are a son of a big man or a small man, provided you develop principles and ideas of inclusion, of collectivity, we are stronger together. Once you realize this, you will start solving the problem. And then you also change the reward system. And the social media has become very, very instrumental to our challenge now, because people have access to media handles. You know, they see somebody sit in his or her room, you know, and then the kind of things the person, without knowledge. There are some, so those of us that work with communities and work with young people, you see some of this right up, you call them and say, please tell me the truth. If not, sir, this is, sorry, I won't do it again. They know. And so social media has become a very dangerous tool in trying to cause conflict in our society. And then the education itself, I mentioned poverty of the mind, but the quality of education our people are receiving now is very dangerous, especially with due apology, the religious organizations. The religious organizations have become very, very fundamental in the peace question, because we know the Bible, we know the Quran as sources of preaching peace, you know, as peace process. But you have a new variant of religious leadership that talks about, emphasizes the issue of the kingdom, take it by force and by fire, and then you cause the kingdom, and then you order. And so there's a new orientation totally, that somebody is no longer praying and preaching for peace with the neighbor as enshrined in the Bible, but looks out for the aspect of the Bible that talk about die by fire, die by fire. And so there is no room for preaching peace again. So we have all these elements. You know, conflict has elements and stages, right? And conflict has there are actors involved in each conflict. And then sometimes we look at conflict like, you know, you see an onion, right? You see with different layers. Sometimes when you see a particular conflict, the people remote controlling that conflict are far away. They are far away. So what we are doing and we are preaching, and that is why our organization is 18 Institute for Peace Research and Practice. That practice of it is very fundamental, because it's something that you need to practice, and it's a daily event that you have to practice every day. And so we are doing everything possible to start educating the people. I won't even mention the institute only. I will mention a Center for Peace and Development Studies at the Benue State University. I have said it earlier, we are organizing training. We are hoping that very soon we'll commence short courses in peace and conflict studies, and in risk and disaster management, in refugee and IDP assessment, so that we need to create an idea to people that the idea of peace, apart from starting with you, is a mental thing first. You have to change your mentality. Your mentality to ownership of resources, mentality to usage of resources, mentality to living with the next person, mentality of intergroup relationship, how you relate with somebody that is not even from your community, not even from your ethnic group, not even from your religious group. But you know that collectively we need a system of inclusion, a system that we promote tolerance, a system that we reduce the level of inequality in terms of gender, in terms of social contextualization, in terms of economic contextualization. So these are the things that as an institute and as a center at the Benue State University we're trying to create, to get people so that by the time we know this and it becomes a process, it also becomes part and parcel of our daily lives.
Okay, we'll open the telephone line shortly, but just before we open the line, Mr. Akoshoho, can you speak to us briefly? You have been involved in issues of boundary demarcation, and there are communal conflicts we have had in Benue. I won't go to specific communities, you know them. How can this be tackled effectively to build peace in such communities?
Thank you. This can be tackled effectively if all of us are focused and determined to do it. Example of this is, there was a report of Justice Mama Nasir report on boundary adjustment of Benue Taraba. You know, the boundary Benue Taraba has been there for some time. Since 1922-24 boundary demarcation. And a lot of problems were being faced on the boundary between the Tiv and the Jukum. So in course of this, at the time of Kontagora, they set up a panel. They should look into these boundary issues. In setting on this panel, some of the communities were brought back to Benue State. Others were left to Taraba State. That is to say, Benue State had the authority, administrative control of those areas. Example of this is Abako and Mo in Kwande. What do I mean by having administrative control? The schools, the health clinics, the teachers, and what have you, were being paid by the Benue State government. Same thing in Mo. Later on, they said, okay, Abako is now in Benue State. But just like the last speaker has said, Dr. Tsua has said, people with small minds decided that, no, I will not be in Benue State. Our Tiv people said, no, in the same house, just like we are sitting in the studio here. Somebody at the other side will say, no, I'm in Benue State. Somebody on this side will say, no, I'm in Taraba State. Bringing about problems. After giving the whole Abaku wholly to Benue State. And Benue State government were paying the teachers, the health clinics, and all of you, all what you think of government should do to a community. The same thing in Mon here. So you see, people are enjoying crisis because they are making small change out of it. And they refuse in doing all those things. Same thing in Chirakra, which I mentioned earlier on. Chirakra took government to court, Taraba State government to court, because Taraba State was enforcing themselves on Chirakra. And the Otare there was paid by Benue State government. The market there was being controlled by Benue State government. And all the clinics there and the primary schools were being paid by the Benue State government. They insisted. And the community took the Taraba State government to court. Guess what happened? Well, but Taraba State government, Benue State government won the case. But they are still insisting that that place belongs to them. How does that belongs to you?
Okay,
these are the problems.
Yes, that's just a background. So give us just briefly on how can some of these communal conflicts in our communities, not even beyond the boundaries, in our immediate communities, the heart of Benue, be tackled before
it can be tackled when we have the understanding.
What kind of strategies do we need to adopt?
We should talk to ourselves. We should go back to the days of our elder brothers, the days that we were there before these problems come about. The demarcation doesn't really mean anything. You can go ahead and find at the other side, and go ahead and find. We can marry ourselves. In the moment you have married from the other side, it does mean you have become a family to that people, and that is exactly what is happening here now. But because of the personal problems people are having with one another, that is bringing about this thing. We should have a common understanding. That is just it.
It's okay. Dear listener, in case you are just tuning in, you have been listening to Perspectives on Agate Radio 95.5 Star FM Makudi. We've been discussing the International Day of Living Together in Peace. Our discussants here in the studio, I have with me the Director General, International Institute for Peace Research and Practice. He is also the Deputy Director at the Center for Peace and Development Studies at the Benue State University. Makudi, Dr. John Tsuwa is here with us. Also on the program is the Director General, Benue State Peace and Reconciliation Commission, Josephine Haba, as well as the Chairman, Benue Society for Peace Studies and Practice here in Benue. Akol Shuho is with us on the program, and you can call us to contribute. The number through which you can reach us is 0814-335-9292. 0814-335-9292. That's the line for calls. And once you connect with us, tell us your name and where you are calling from. Then you go ahead and make your submission. We appeal that you keep it very brief to enable others also have the opportunity to connect with us. Meanwhile, the line for text messages and WhatsApp chat is already activated, and that line is 0912-699-9404. 0912-699-9404. Let's engage with those listening to us. Hello, good morning and welcome to Perspectives. Hello. Oh, we lost connection with that caller. Hello. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Welcome to Perspectives.
Thank you. My name is Bishop Stephen Tenwa, calling from Ibrahim.
Good to have you join us, Bishop Stephen.
Yes.
How is Bayongo this morning?
It's fine.
I hope you are peaceful in Bayongo.
Yes, there's peace now, for now, because we have not had the issue of planning crisis no more.
Okay,
so now
okay. Okay, Stephen, go ahead. We are listening to you.
Yes, concerning the issue of peace, you know, when there is peace, there is development in a particular place, that particular place where there is peace. But where there is no peace, there cannot be development, and the people cannot even stay there. You have this, you don't have peace of mind. But when there is peace, you have the comfort of mind. And why I am saying this is that the reason why we are not having peace is because of our government. Let me just say it like that. Like you mentioned traditional rulers. Traditional rulers are the ones that actually don't want the peace, because they are the ones who has been collecting money. Like from these headers, we have heard it. They were the people that started it.
Stephen.
And now those rightfully belong to
Hello, Stephen. Hello, yes. Stephen, are you listening?
Yes, I'm listening.
Okay, such categorical statements, when we have facts to back them up, we allow our listeners or our callers to say them. Do you have facts to such allegation?
I've seen it in several. I've seen it for several times, because it has happened. Even present is where I'm staying. Yes, because the traditional rulers of this place are not the ones putting things in order. Like we have the issue of there's this crisis between Basombo and Basombo and Babu. The issue has not been up to now today. But although the crisis is no more happening, but the government was to take action to it. But up to now, nothing has been done over it, and people are afraid of going to that place to even do their farmland.
Okay, Stephen, maybe before you conclude your thoughts, are you there, Stephen?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, Given that you say you have facts, have you in any way tried to report such persons to the appropriate authorities? Because you know government have structures and there are security and law enforcement agencies. Have you attempted that?
The truth is that I have not reported anyone, but I've seen it as a young man that is coming in society. Sometimes you don't say something out. When you say it, the people will now discriminate you and then they will turn you into something else. So that has made me keep silent.
It's okay. Thank you for. Could that be all from you, Stephen? Okay, he's off already. In any case, like we mentioned, if it's an allegation and it's subject to being proven, it will be fine that you prove it. In any case, we hope that the traditional rulers will also have a right of reply. We will accord them to speak to us. Hello, good morning. Hello. Okay, we lost connection with you. Hello, good morning. Hello. Hello, good morning.
Hello.
You are on. Speak to us. Kindly move away from your radio.
Okay.
You sound so... Jacob Onguga, you sound so low.
My name is Mr. Jacob Onguga. I'm calling from Road.
Okay, Jacob. Okay. Thank you. Jacob Onguga, please, you are close to your radio. Move away from it.
I really appreciate Joshua. Thank Mr. Joshua very much for his contribution in the studio.
Thank you.
It's not only just what they say. The others doesn't mean their contribution. Okay.
Okay. Thank you. In the people in the studio. Let me go.
Okay, go on, Jacob.
I want to appreciate the topic that you bring today. You know, what we are saying, we have to understand ourselves. If we not understand ourselves, then it's actually we continue going on and on. You know, all those things that bring violence in our areas, we are doing it ourselves. Honestly speaking, everybody wants to get a leader of himself. They don't want to listen to the elders. They don't want to listen to our traditional rulers. That is what is bringing violence in our community. So we have to bend down and go back to the drawing board and listen what our elders have been doing before. If we do so, everything will go very well. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jacob. Thank you very much. Okay, we should abide by the counsel of our traditional rulers so that we ensure peace in our communities. That's Jacob Onguga's submission. Thank you. Hello, good morning. Hello.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Welcome to the program.
I am on that Gabriel from Ojakpama.
All right. Good to have you join us. Hi, it's Ojakpama.
Look, it's fine today.
It's peaceful, right?
It's peaceful.
Okay. Happy.
That's what remaining at him now.
Okay, that's good. Please go ahead, Gabriel.
That's the house. In fact, they are talking very well concerning the topic they have brought this morning to the society. You know, my brother, if there is love and peace of the world, that's the peace. That love cannot even work. Love are peace to peace, and many other things are peace to peace. Even when Christ was about to leave the world, his last days to peace, the world was peace. But my peace has been true, and that peace is now being squandered away. So my take this time is that let us, after loving ourselves, to make our society good, let us have peace. Like our neighbors, if you see anybody doing wrong, just use yourself to correct that person in a peaceful way, and in a manner that you cannot be annoyed. And to go in peace. If we try to peace, no society can be good for us to even the whole world. If there are many things that we need that are there to God, we are enjoying, but if there is no peace in peace, that enjoyment cannot be even last long. So, of course, have peace, and then talk to our people who are not loving peace, that love peace that is equal to that. So,
all right, thank you, Gabriel. Thank you so much. Thank you. I appreciate you. It's good that Ojakwama is peaceful, but unfortunately that the network in Ojakwama is not peaceful at all. It did not allow us to hear you very well, but we appreciate you all the same. Hello, good morning.
Well, good morning, presenter.
Thank you very much for joining us on Perspectives.
I'm Mr. Joseph calling from Key Layout.
Good to have you join us, Jacob.
Good morning,
Did you say Jacob Yokia?
Joseph Yokia.
Okay, Joseph. Go ahead, Joseph.
Thank you for the wonderful program you've brought this morning on the station.
Thank you.
I want to appreciate the guests in the studio and then add to their contribution as well. The other speaker made mention of the quest for power and love for the riches. Most of the kindred heads or the chiefs we give these days, we no longer give them to the appropriate people who are supposed to be given to. And at the same time, when the other presenter, Mr. Shuhu, talking of the Otare and the Tio or the Tukpande, what are they saying to these problems? You can imagine you overheard a Tukpande telling somebody that for we to judge your kitty, you must present a certain amount of money. And by that, what do you think that tax collector is going to say at that place? It therefore means there is nothing he will say there that will be meaningful, that will bring peace and development to that very community, because he is going there with the mindset and the quest for power and riches, that I am going to collect this money from this social person, and at the end of the day, the matter will die down. Even the person who is supposed to be judged on the right path will be accused as the faulty person. This is the situation we have now. How do we resolve this? I solicit the government to find a way out to sensitize these people and checkmate them, because like we have rightly stated, a common person like me cannot confront the chief and then tell him that what you are saying or doing is not the right thing. As a young man, your dignity is at stake. Yeah. And looking at what is going on, when we know very well that the things moving on are things that will rather promote conflict and not peace, nobody is there to say anything about it, because those people in authority are already siding or doing the part of evil. Just like somebody earlier said, the guest earlier said in the studio, that we know a thief, this is our thief. It is not expected of us to harbor thieves as our thief. In our own certain era, I was brought up by my father, and when you do something wrong, he's the one to expose you to the entire community. And as such, we were trained in a very good way.
Okay.
That we have to distinguish ourselves.
Okay, thank you for being a good ambassador of the UOKAS. Okay, your way forward and conclude, please.
Yeah. So, the conclusion is this. Just as the guests have earlier said, we should look for ways to sensitize these people and checkmate them in order to see that we are promoting peace and not conflict.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Yokia. Thank you. All right. Before we take more calls, Mrs. Haba, let me come to you. From your commission, have you had reports from Benue people with your interaction from them that traditional rulers are actually scuttling the process for peace building in our communities, as alleged by some callers?
Well, I have not had formal complaints like you heard on the radio. Nobody is willing to make forward. But there have been people who want to come and talk to me about issues that are going on with traditional leaders in their community. Just recently, I had a police officer who came to talk to me to say, look, it is no longer going to be the Fulani headers like we know, but it's going to be the Fulani in the family that's going to happen if you don't weigh in quickly. And what is he talking about? He's talking about the land dispute that is going to be within the same father and different mothers issues. And then this, he said to me, if you don't weigh in now, it may escalate the entire community breakdown, because there are powerful people within my family who may sponsor outsiders to do the things that are not right. And then he concludes with the fact that, and they have the traditional leaders in their pocket. So that isn't a formal complaint, but it's a discussion. And for me, that's why I said the traditional leaders need to know what is in it for them. Because like I said earlier, you can't keep peace by force. It has to be achieved by the means which people understand. And I hear understanding. Peace can only be kept I'm sorry. Peace can only be kept with the ability of, when we talk about peace, let's remember that it's not an absence of conflict. There will be conflict, but it's in the means which we handle this conflict that we can promote peace. So in trying to have the discussions with the traditional leaders and maybe reawaken them to understand that you are leaders over your immediate communities where you legislate, we want you to ensure, this will now be the part of the government, to ensure that we have peace in your community. And community A, community B have different traditional leaders. If everyone decides and accepts that, I think that it will have reasonable peace around our communities. But again, let me say that, you can't find peace by trying to run away or escape your problems. That's not the way to find peace. The best way to find peace is to confront that problem and deal with it in the way that is peaceful. And by this, I'm saying that even as a government, I know that we're on the quest to know the biggest elephant in the room that is causing the challenge of living together or cohabiting together is the fact that we have herders and farmers. But let me tell you on this radio, and I'm saying this from, categorically, and I don't need to be corrected, I'm saying this categorically, that for us to achieve the anti-open grazing that Benue State has put together is for us to begin to deal with ourselves. Because I have been working with herders, I have worked with herders to the point that I have a bit of understanding that our problems are much more internal than external. We have the internal Fulanis that we need to deal with, and this is where the traditional leaders come in. We have, by ourselves, the Fulanis that are active people that have got cattle that the external Fulanis are handling and grazing openly with them. So when the Fulani, the man that is grazing with your cattle, is asked to leave or ranch, he will ask you, why are you not ranching? Are these cattle not your own? Well, if you want to, so the insincerity is so much that we need to begin to deal with that. And when we begin to deal with that, I was talking yesterday to the traditional leaders that I met with them. I said, don't collect a dime from the Fulani man. He comes as a goodwill. He comes to appreciate you for dealing with his matter the way you deal with it. But once you give that you give the traditional leader, you collect that gratification from this man, he goes away as paying you for the right that he has. So if you do not collect, because the damage that was done, when they put it together, they said on the other side is 20-something million, on this side is 30-something million. I told them, don't collect a dime. If you tell them to pay you, they will go and look for money everywhere to come and pay you. As soon as you collect that money, you are gone. Because they will come back to say they paid you for the land, and they will make that as an example of the payment. Meanwhile, it was not like that. So the traditional leaders sometimes act in ignorance. So we need to empower them a bit more. Like the other young man said, again, we have the challenge of whether these traditional leaders are truly supposed to be the leaders of their communities on another. It's a thing, again, that is on the other side, but it's not my bait. But those who are traditional leaders truly should please listen to the fact that they are custodians of their communities. And please try to bring development to their communities. By that, I mean make sure you have peace in your community, and so development will come.
Okay, we'll go along. We'll certainly go along. Let's engage with a few more persons who are waiting on the line before we come back. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Thank you for joining us on Perspectives.
You're welcome, sir. I am Avaka Kelvin, calling from George's Quarter, Makodi.
Okay, Avaka Kevin, welcome.
I want to say a very big good morning to my lecturer, Dr. John Soa, in the studio.
Yes, it's not only your lecturer that is. Avaka Kevin, go ahead right away.
This is a wonderful program, actually.
Thank you.
Peace is fundamental, and it's something we shouldn't take for granted. Just like they rightly said, there's so much work to be done, and you and I are involved. Every other person should be part of this race, this fight, to actually bring about peace in our societies, in our communities, especially in our land and Nigeria entirely. The big problem here is about leadership, bad leadership, and which actually have instilled a lot of pain in the minds of people. And there's an example that was cited just while a speaker was, he said, a poor man that is living close to a rich man and doesn't have any food to eat will definitely one day throw stones in the house of the rich man. These issues of bad leadership is something we shouldn't take for granted. Leaders should actually try to bring about dividends of democracy, try to look into the problems of the communities. He said, a hungry man is an angry man. So when someone is hungry, someone feels, at least I should have access to this, I should have access to this, and is denied of these things. Sometimes these are the causes of conflict, disagreement, and all of that.
Okay.
So leaders should at least try to be reasonable enough to listen to the plight of the people and then try to solve most of the problems within the communities.
All right.
That peace can actually exist. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kevin. I appreciate you. Dr. John Soa's a student. Since we don't have students, they are not mentioning us. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Morning, please. Your radio is unfriendly to our communication.
I've done it off already.
Good. Welcome to the program.
My name's Oko Moses. I'm calling from North Bank.
Oko Moses, welcome.
Yeah, I want to appreciate all of you there in the studio for this wonderful topic. It's an issue of concern to everybody. And the question is to those people involved.
Hello, Oko Moses.
If the whole world is given to a single person, will you be able to manage it? Will you be able to live comfortably if the whole world is given to you? So that should be the number one question anybody involving in this act should be asking himself. Then the other thing is, without peace, nothing good can be achieved. So it's also boiled down to our traditional rulers. I believe the outgone government. The other time I discover whenever there is a communal crisis in area, you always go ahead to suspend the traditional ruler, both the other side and the other side. That's how it has been. So I want to beseech the current government, if anything like that happen, it should also...
Oko Moses, that just at the point of landing with your conclusion, we got disconnected with you. Quite unfortunate. The line is still open anyway. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Welcome to Perspectives.
Thank you, Nathan. I salute your guest.
Yes, my guest has
My name is Jude Perry. I'm calling from Bakuma Way.
Good to have you join us, Jude.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate the guest, especially my mommy in the studio there. Thank you so much for your analysis.
Thank you.
What I want to say is that the issue of peace is an inclusive matter. We are all involved. And that can be achieved when we tolerate one another. Without tolerance, there can't be peace. Because you need to listen to what I'm telling you. You have to take my views into consideration, whether they are bad views or good views. If they are bad, at the end of the day, we sit down together, you put me on the correction page. That is why the society is at the moment. So tolerance is very, very important. You tolerate me, my religion, my faith, where I worship, you have to respect the church I attend, or even as a Muslim. And also the kind of maybe life I'm living, whether I can go ahead, maybe married from intertribal marriages is also very important. There are certain people that say, don't marry from this tribe. That has been happening in Nigeria. I don't want to marry from this tribe. Don't ever try it. If you marry, you are not my son. Or if they are married, you are not my daughter. So those are the problems we are facing in this country. And people sometimes shift the blame to traditional rulers. It is not good at all. We all share the blame. It's 50-50. Now, sometimes when traditional rulers meet to resolve a land issue or any disturbances, after maybe taking decision, at the end of the conversation, a youth will just raise up his hand, say, hey, what you people have said, elders said, is good, but what but? You see? So they want to add something. At the end of the day, they scuttle everything. So those are the issues we are facing in society right now. Let me pause here for that chorus to call in.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate you. Thank you very much. All right. Dr. Tsua, before we engage with more persons on the line, looking at the peculiar experience in Benue, maybe we should talk about the issue in Sankara, where banditry has been on for several years, and also the challenge of herders attack, armed herdsmen attack, which your colleague Haba alluded to earlier, and what is happening. What can be the way forward with regards to addressing some of these peculiar issues in Benue?
Okay, thank you very much. Let me start with the Fulani herders. I don't like calling it conflict, because the farmers are not in conflict with anybody. You can't come into a place and then attack people at night or early in the morning, want to take over there and say it's a conflict. No, there should be a better word. Whether we don't want to call it terrorist attack on the farming communities or want to call it a banditry, well, I will leave it to others to do. But for me, it's not a conflict between the herders and the farmers, and it's high time we get a clear name to name that, so that it will become a legal issue that we handle them the way we are. In 2014, I was sponsored by, I was a team lead of a UNDP program to carry out an assessment to ascertain the possibility of the herders coming down in Benue State, in this region in 2014. We took 6 local governments, Ukun, Logo, Guman, Gwe West, and others. And then 6 of them, the most vocal persons during our interaction were let me say the indigenous Fulanis. Let me call the indigenous Fulani.
But is there anything such like indigenous?
No, I'm just trying to create it. Yeah, these are the people, Fulanis, that we are born here, giving birth to here.
Okay.
Yes. If you go to Logo, if you go to Goma, you will find them that they themselves, you will see a Fulani man that is 70 years, and he will tell you he was giving birth to here. And then his children and grandchildren speak Tiv from him and his children, they all speak Tiv fluently, right? They were the people that started raising alarm that there were strange elements of the Fulani that have started coming in. The report is there. They raise up that they have reported that the local government chairman and their security advisors should monitor that they are beginning to see some Fulani men that don't even understand their fufu, they are really the dialect they speak with them. But they are coming in here with cattle. It is becoming a problem to them. We did that, got the report, presented the report. No action was taken until the day the then Governor Susan was going to Bajimba and he was shot at. That was when they started calling me. I had to bring up because I even lost copies of the report that were given to them. So you see, there was a genesis about that. And then I had published an article with the then assembly members because I gave him the report. And one of my research assistants, then Valentine Kwachimi, on assessing the possibility of Heda's invasion of the Benue region. And at that particular time, we had interviews with some headers that were coming, the strange headers that had confessed to us and mentioned names of the encounter with some traditional rulers, that they exchanged, some currencies and all that. And they said, okay, as far as you have given me this, you will be here for so period of time, nobody will harass you. Of course, and it was renewable. So the same thing, you go to Sankara. I don't want to talk more on the Fulani issue. If you go to Sankara, the issue of this bandit, for that is the challenge of those of us that are in the research industry, because we carry out research, we visit these people, and the facts that we get, sometimes we only put them in paper and give to whoever has the authority to turn it into effective policy.
Let's once again put them out in voice on what can be done to address the menace, because
that's right.
Yes.
Yeah. Number one, politics. Very fundamental. Me and you in Benue know that the menace of the bandits in Sankara started during the build-up to the 2011 elections, where some people felt they were going to lose out and then started, creating gangs. And you see, non-state actors, especially gang leaders, are very dangerous, because once they turn that into a profession, it has become a business, right? It has become a business. Just like this header thing that we're talking about, it has also become a business. Some people, if you go and give them a job, that will pay them, let's say 150,000 amount, they will tell you, what they do in the bush there is more lucrative than what they are going to get at the end of the month. It is a business and it's politically founded. And sometimes you are on radio, you could get some of these comments, coming in and all that. Number one, what I feel we should do is for our political actors to be sincere. Even if we blame the traditional rulers, what is the legal backing that they are receiving from those in political authority to perform these functions? Number two, what has been the process of recruiting these traditional rulers now? I am from a royal family, and it's there that the process that traditional ruler used to emerge from.
Maybe being from the royal family, we should also allow you to state the reasons why it is alleged that traditional rulers are also. If it's okay.
Number one, the leadership recruitment process has changed.
Okay.
Now you have thugs that are compensated and are made chiefs. And even when they are made chiefs, that old madness is still there. Sometimes you hear them say that those kind of things are there. So first we should think about the political leadership, and this should be follow the nature of our leadership recruitment process. Who do we recruit into positions of authority, either as a traditional ruler, either as a chairman of a local government, either as a councillor, because all these people are no longer recruited with the idea of the community or idea of community governance in mind. They are only compensated for work done during political campaigns and all that. So we have to take that, and our core political actors should actually sit amongst themselves and assess themselves and look at the community and realize that they should not be bigger, their interests should not be bigger than the interests of the community. They know, we know. How do they get their arms? You know how much a AK-47 cost. Can you just go and get it? Some of these people have protection.
Okay, let me apologize to cut in here. Past administrations had looked into this issue with even regards to granting amnesty to some of the non-state actors operating in the Sankara axis. Is there anything different that can be done to bring peace in that part of our state?
Have sincere was the program.
Yeah.
Okay. You are involved in the field, so maybe you interrogated better.
Exactly. So I know that, number one, each conflict I have said earlier has its own actors and the elements involved. Number one, we should identify the main actors. If you go to Sankara, for instance, you have key persons. There's a Susan there, there's an Udendi there, there's a Powobiam there, then you have the traditional rulers, you have the Awumbus there, you have the Igbides there. Have they one day sincerely sat together to tell themselves the truth without putting forward their political interest? The peace process, I mentioned the case in Rwanda, it must start with that spirit of sincerity that we want our community. Let these people, for example, sit together and face to face talk and agree on some basic things, and I give you 1 week with support from the state government, if the state government is also sincere. But the challenge now is that while we are here talking about this peace, politicians are already thinking about their 2027, and they are also already thinking about how to make themselves stronger than others in 2027. Let me stop there.
Okay, let's engage with a few more persons, then we'll come back. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Nathan. Good morning, guests in the house.
Thank you for joining us on Perspectives.
My name is Tefa Esik, calling from KN, Kano, northwest part of Nigeria.
Good to have you join us, Tefa Kiruke. Please go ahead.
Okay, World Peace has to be celebrated and awareness has to be created, because there is no country if there is violence, the country will not progress, or the community. So to me, we are facing a lot of problems: insecurity, banditry, and robbery and kidnapping. But peace is the best, is the ultimate if we want any nation to develop or any community. So to me, awareness has to be top priority, both the private and the government sector. I think by doing that we can much do better. But if there is no peace, there will not be tranquility. So to me, I encourage people to be preaching peace and to be practicing peace, because most of the time people preach peace but they don't practice it. It's very wrong. So I urge both the traditional and the religious leaders, they should be proactive when doing all those things. I think by that we have a better nation. That is my take this morning.
Thank you, Tefa. We appreciate your
It's my pleasure. Have a fabulous day.
You too. Have a great day. Thank you. Okay, Mr. Shoho. At the level of your society, the Benue State branch of the Society for Peace Studies and Practice, what community engagement are you doing with regards to promoting peace in our community, and are there identifiable flashpoints where you are paying particular attention to?
Yeah, thank you. At my level as the chairman of the Benue State Peace Practice and Peace Practice, we map up some strategies that we want to embark on. Especially there are flashpoints where in areas in Sankara especially. The three local government is under siege, just like you've been hearing of it. We really want to do something there to know what is really the problem. And how do we go about this problem? What is your problem? What is government doing on the side? That would have been on, but it was because of my e-health. I've been down for quite a long time, and that could not go on. But now that I'm beginning to stand on my feet, I think the society is ever ready to kickstart on the areas of trying to bring peace to Benue State.
Okay, let's engage with one more call. Then by the time we come back, we shall be gradually drawing our curtains because our time is fast getting away. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. President in the studio.
Thank you. You may do us a favor by moving away from your radio.
Okay. I'm actually using my handset as radio before, so since I dialed the number already.
Okay, good. Thank you for offering your radio. Go ahead.
Thank you. Thanks to our guests in the studio. They have all spoken well.
Yes. What's the name and where are you reaching us from?
Okay. My name is Mr. Edward from Yerwater Oasis along Lafia Road.
Okay, Edward. Go ahead. It does appear we still have an European man living in Yerwater. We have an Edward.
They came and colonized. I think my father saw something good in it.
Okay, Edward, go ahead, please.
Okay, thank you very much.
Hello, Edward.
The only point I want to
Edward, kindly change your position. Change your position of standing. Maybe we can have an improvement with the network.
Yes, I have a problem of network here.
Okay, you are.
Can you hear me now?
Better now. Go ahead.
Okay, so I want to look at it from the perspective of justice. The traditional rulers, we know, but the political interference, just as one of the guests in the studio has hammered on, political interference on our traditional rulers these days. Respect, to earn that respect from their subjects. The traditional rulers represent a tool in the community that everybody is meant to respect before now. But because of too much interference from the political class that decide what, when, and how, they are misusing that power, and that is why everything is turning upside down. So everything goes back to the political class. Let them play the game according to the rule. Let them not think that they have the power to do and undo, because in that they are stirring up the peace. They are stirring up other issues that can work against the progress of what they are meant to protect. So I call on the political class to please, because they are deciders of everything in the society. If they decide to decide well, it will be well with us. If they decide to decide bad, selfishly, because they feel they have the power, it will not be well for us, and they will not enjoy that seat. So I call on the political class to play.
Okay, thank you, Edward. Your point is made. The political class should play by the rules. Thank you. The network seems very unfriendly for us to hear you, but we appreciate your submission. The same, Edward. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Welcome to Perspectives.
Yeah, good morning. You are speaking to Asogoni Dogara. I'm calling from Nedba.
Asogoni, good to have you join us. Go ahead.
Thank you, sir. My greetings to the guests in the studio.
Yes, my guests
are responding. I want to start by commending the United Nations for putting these days together. However, I want to state that peace has no alternative. I've listened to some of our callers. They are trying to put blames on the kindred head and the political class. Let us know that Peace, real peace is not the absence of the presence of conflict, but the absence of conflict, but the presence of justice. So we are all in the shoes. If we have peace, all of us seem to benefit from it. If we don't have peace, then there is the opposite is the case. So for this reason, whatever will promote peace, let's embrace it. That is the first thing. Then the second, the issue of having love for ourselves. For someone not to hurt himself, then what is the reason of hurting your neighbor or any other person on the street? So please, let's embrace peace. And that is the only good we can benefit from it. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Thank you very much, Asogoni Dogara. We appreciate your submission. Hello, good morning. Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning. Welcome to Perspectives.
Thank you very much. My name is Ken Ati. I'm calling from Yenagoa, Bayelsa State.
Oh, Ken Ati, good to have you join us.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to also listen to the conversation from my respected seniors and leaders in the sector.
All right.
It is of importance to add that, first of all, I am on all fours with them on the submissions made so far, because for a month, sincerely, we have a problem of sincerity in our communities. While we get a lot of lamentations, the willingness to do the real work that brings about peace in the communities is lacking. Poverty has also become a tool that has been used to advance the nefarious causes of politicians. So John Tua hit the nail on the head. Professor, you did well, because people are already strategizing towards 2027, and that is already a divider that will make them unwilling to sustain community peace, rather break it down for their selfish interest. Be that as it may, does that mean we'll sit down and fold our arms? No. There is work to be done, and we need to see a situation where government will give ample and adequate support to the Benue State Commission for Peace and Reconciliation. This commission came, for some of us who have been following developments in this sector, it came at a time where we are desperately in need of it. And there's no room at all to delay on that commission's mandate. As far as I'm concerned, it should be on paraffin speed, establishing the processes, obtaining consultancies, and creating building partnerships and networks that will sustain peace in the communities. Our traditional rulers need to understand what inclusive leadership is. The people in government need to understand what conflict transformation is. The normal ordinary dwellers, the market women, the young men, need to know what it takes to act in non-adversarial ways, and ways that continue to ensure that sustainable peace is maintained in the communities. It's painful because we have now left Benue to go and work in other places to build peace where the governments are willing. But for us, politics continues to divide us, economics, and so much more. But the willingness to get that job done, it is actually frustrating for the people in the sector, because nothing can happen if we don't have peace. Benue will not have food production or food security. We are not going to achieve any of the developmental things we have in mind if we don't establish the peace that we need. This is very important, and I must applaud my state chairman, my state chairman of the SPSP, Mrs. Haba, for the fantastic work they are doing. There's no room for rest, and I just want to encourage them.
All right, thank you very much, Kakanati, for your contribution. We appreciate you. Thank you. There's no room for rest until peace is achieved in Benue. That's a fine point to leave it. And that will be our last call on the program today. A few messages, then we'll come back and conclude. This one says, the absence of justice and fairness in addressing issues when they occur from the family unit up to the highest level is not encouraging mankind to live together in peace, because there are those who appear favored over others. Then the crave for more land acquisition is further tearing us apart. People no longer want to live with others in same place. Everyone is interested in owning his or her own land for him and his immediate children, and the government on the other side allows some dispute to linger longer than necessary if a dispute is noticed between two communities, for instance, the government should come in and resolve the problem, and if it involves boundaries demarcation, it should be done as quickly as possible to avoid puncturing peace among the warring communities so they can still live together in peace. Jeremiah Ohange from New Kanshu Layout in Makodi. Thank you very much, Jeremiah Ohange, for your contribution. Another one here says, human beings are inherently selfish and wicked. The international relations was born from the ashes of war. Human nature are not peaceful. According to perspective by my lecturer, Dr. John Soa, greed, insincerity, poverty of the mind, religious intolerance, role of traditional rulers, etc. are causing impediments to peace. According to a scholar named Bertrand Russell, a world full of peace and happiness is not beyond human power. Moreover, from my trends of analysis to my own view, international peace of living together can be achieved through mental revolution, orientation, accepting and tolerating another person's ideology, from the continuous reciprocity and creating an enabling environment in settling conflicts. Lastly, I want to sincerely appreciate the fundamental ideas of other guests in the studio. I can't take your thoughts for granted and the intelligent work of the presenter. Through these, our world can be a better place. Kuduku Emmanuel, a student from Benue State University in the Department of Political Science. Thank you, Kuduku, for your message. Last one here says, good morning to you and the guest. In a world that often seems to be filled with conflict and strife, the concept of peace can sometimes feel like a distant and idealistic notion. However, the importance of peace cannot be underestimated, as it brings a multitude of advantages that can have a positive impact on individuals and societies. Our Lord Jesus is our peace, having broken down the barriers that divide us. Ephesians 2 verses 14 says, for as many of you as were baptized into Christ have put on Christ. There is neither Jew nor Greek. There is neither slave nor free. There is neither male nor female, if you are all one in Christ Jesus. Galatians 3:27 verses 27 to 28 in conclusion says, peace is not just a lofty idea, but a practical and essential component of thriving and healthy society. By embracing peace and fostering a culture of harmony and cooperation, we can achieve numerous benefits that positively impact the well-being of individuals, strengthen relationships between people, promote economic growth, and safeguard the environment. It is only through a commitment to peace that we can build a brighter and more sustainable future for all. From Ko Ephraim in Nakagwe West Local Government Area. Thank you, Ko Ephraim. Those are the messages we'll be able to accommodate today. Mrs. Haba, we are concluding the issue of Sankara. When we mentioned amnesty, and your colleague Dr. Tswa questioned the sincerity with which it was handled, I saw your countenance. Is there anything different the Peace Commission is considering with regards to restoring peace in that part of our state? 30 seconds, please, because we're totally out of time.
My countenance went because he said just what it was.
Yes.
No one can achieve peace until we agree to have peace. And these are the leaders of Sankara that he mentioned. Be it that we don't have peace in that axis, it's because these people don't want us to have peace. If they want us to achieve peace in Sankara today, the names he rightly mentioned, peace will be achieved within 24 hours, not a week like he said. Because if every one of them stand on their feet to say, every bandit in the bush come out, who else? It's not the traditional leaders. These are the commanders of Sankara.
All right. So we're totally out of time. I will beg you, stop at that. Please. Just one word, not more than one.
Yeah, we have the Center for Peace and Human Studies, Benue State University, has written to the Advisory Bureau for local government to allow them train the traditional rulers on the alternative dispute resolution, and then train on how to build community peace. We are hoping that they will give us that opportunity. If we train them and they go back to their communities, they will step it down. I think we'll have a better.
All right. From you, Akoshoho, one word, no more than one word.
Society for Peace Studies and Practice is saying we should have an open communication, promote diversity, conflict resolution, and foster mutual understanding within ourselves.
That's our program for today, International Day of Living Together in Peace, which we discuss. I appreciate very sincerely our discussant, the Director General, International Institute for Peace Research and Practice, and the Deputy Director, Center for Peace and Development Studies at the Benue State University, Dr. John Swan. Thank you for coming on Perspectives. The Director General, Benue State Peace and Reconciliation Commission, Josephine Haber. Good to have you share your thoughts with us. Also, we are grateful to the Chairman, Society for Peace Studies and Practice in Benue State, Mr. Akosho. We are grateful to all of you, our discussants. Thank you so much, dear listener, for being a part of today's edition. Unfortunately, this is the most time can accommodate us when we have the right people. 2 hours seems very short. My name is Nathaniel Nongu. Join us next week, Monday, for another edition of Perspectives. God bless you and stay peaceful always. Goodbye.